Hey, it's Jason with Jams.net. I'm up here in the Smoky Mountains at Elkmont Campground, which is a campground that used to be in operation, and then they stopped leasing it from the National, Forestry Service, and it evidently is now open back up, but there's some abandoned cabins I want to go take a peek at, so follow along. Okay, so it's a very quick walk when you park. I mean, you can actually just park here and access it. But the deal is, this is was Elkmont Campground, and it was built 100 years ago. You could stay here, and then they stopped paying the lease and basically abandoned them. And since they've been kind of fixed up, but they still look very similar. They've been painted to protect the wood and probably new roofs installed. But we're going to be able to tour each of these buildings and show what it would have looked like. So let me tell you a little bit more about this before we hop into some of them. So this is interesting. It says, I tell you something about Elkmont. It's a magical place. When I come up here, I feel close to God. I love this place, my new favorite place. And it's a small valley where the Little River and Jake's Creek converge. It was called Daisy Town, which was one of several resort enclaves established in the early 20th century by urban dwellers who craved the natural beauty and refreshing climate of the Great Smoky Mountains. And when you look down the road, it's lined with cottages. They say, imagine a time 100 years ago when visitors arrived, seeking refuge from the pollution and sweltering heat of the city. This summer resort community offered a temporary escape from day-to-day routines and responsibilities. Families played outdoor sports, socialized at the clubhouse, and relaxed on their porches. So, they basically had this street right here. They had some cars and all these little cottages. So it's pretty cool. Let's take a peek inside of one of them in here. So this will be the outside of one of many cottages here. This is number 13. It's too bad you can't rent these and stay. It has updated power. It's so cool in here too, temperature-wise. I can see why people liked it. It's 90 degrees today, and here it's probably 70 with no air conditioning. So you have the main room up front with the fireplace. This is the second bedroom. A third area back here. It's a door to the outside. And then you have a little kitchen. I wonder why they don't rent these out anymore. I personally would pay a pretty decent penny to stay in the Smoky Mountains in a cottage. So I guess the company that had Elkmont Village had like a land lease with the national parks. And then at some point in the 70s, I'm told, they said, we're not going to renew that lease. And the national park took the Elkmont Village back over, and I guess they didn't rent them. Good. Or they can't, maybe, who knows. So this would have been the main street. People would have drove down and hopped into college. It is quite beautiful. This one looks like a bigger cottage here. So, So this is a smaller one. It doesn't have that vaulted ceiling. Nice porch. And see, a bathtub and a toilet. I suspect they all had plumbing added. This one, it hasn't been removed. They kind of partitioned it off though, so you can't go in there. This would have, I guess, been the door maybe. Probably because if they kept the toilets just sitting out, somebody would be goofy thinking they could use it. Check this out. Like, this is the Chrysler 8s and 6s. This is from 1930. This newspaper. So that's a nice little touch. So let's take a peek at number 9 and see what that has. So again, they were rewired. So these were built in what, the 20s or 30s, operated till the 70s. Rewired at some point. This one has a bathroom as well. Nice big fireplace. I think it would be wicked cool to come here back in the day in the winter. Get you a big old fire going and get snowed in up on the Smoky Mountains. A little bit smaller of a unit. I want to go check this old cabin out I saw over here. Let's go take a peek at that now. So this is some more details. Daisy Town's eclectic architecture The buildings you see along this shaded street are hodgepodge of designs. These rustic cabins were built by city dwellers inspired by the back to nature movement, influenced by the craftsman style of architecture, which emphasized simplicity and the use of natural materials. Some cabins are made of board and batten, while others use rough-hewn logs. Outdoor living spaces such as large porches brought nature into the mountain retreats. Rustic design continued in the interior, with exposed wood ceilings, walls, and floors. So there's just a lot here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, maybe 20 cabins or cottages or whatever. All designed completely differently. I have no idea what this is, but it has a horseshoe on it.
I think that's where they kept their food and drink.
Well, I think the food would be elevated because of beer. It has a fireplace. No, this was a cabin. Somebody stayed in it. So I think what they're trying to show here is some of the original wood that existed. And then the redid a bunch in here, I guess, to keep it from completely collapsing. Got a little porch back here, and this would be the views you have. Again, it's like 90 degrees outside, high humidity. Absolutely magnificent temperature in these cottages. A nice natural stream gives you that nice cool air. I think this is fantastic. I'm going to be honest, this is one of the cooler things we did this week here in the Smoky Mountains. I love old buildings and history. And the fact that you just kind of walk through these, super cool. You got to do this. Kids like it. My wife likes it. I like it. My only complaint is, why can't I rent one of these and vacation in it? That would be awesome. They also have bathrooms here as you're touring. But let's go check out this main cabin and see what it's all about. The Appalachian House. Appalachian Clubhouse. So it doesn't seem like you can go in this one, only by reservation or scheduled appointment. So I suppose maybe this was like the main clubhouse when you had your little lodge or cottage, and maybe you could gather here and maybe there were dinners and parties. That's what I'm thinking. You know, it tells us about it. Let's go look. The Appalachian Club was established in 1910 by a group of local and regional business and civic leaders who had hunted and fished in Elkmont for many years. Although the area had been home to several families since the 1830s, it was relatively unknown until the coming of the logging industry in the 1880s. As word spread of its scenic beauty and outstanding recreational opportunities, Elkmont became one of many southern Appalachian resorts that thrived in the early 20th century. In 1912, the Wonderland Park Club opened a hotel a half-mile north of here, and members of both clubs built vacation cabins near the clubhouses. For a time, Little River Lumber Company not only logged the area, they provided railroad excursion service to Elkmont for club members and guests. The 1920s were a time of transition for Elkmont, as the lumbering era closed and the resort boomed. In 1934, the Great Smoky Mountains National Park was established, and many families retained their cabins under lifetime leases, the last of which expired in 2001, so that's crazy. With input from the public and in cooperation with local, federal, and historic preservation agencies, the park developed a plan to restore the structures. Implementation of this plan began in 2009 and preserves the integrity of the Elkmont Historic District while protecting the rare forest and pristine waters of the Little River. So you basically got a membership under a lifetime lease, and you had a cottage up here, and then the leases weren't getting renewed, and then eventually they expired. It was quite a social place. People lived there and took their fine clothes. They served food down at the club, which is where we are, 3 times a day. But at night, especially on Saturday night, they would dress up and have dinner and a dance. They had an orchestra, and they would have a regular social time on Saturday night. Simpler times, but sounds like a lot of fun to me. Well, this is the Elkmont Campground. If you come here, you want to follow the signs to Daisy Town. Again, that's the history with the lifetime leases. Super, super cool. Definitely recommend you come visit it. Subscribe below. Let me know what you think. Appreciate you watching. See you later.